Hey, Shalom, man. Sure, I want to start off source by giving no praise to Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahushai, Ba'Shem, Rakakwadash, double honors to the apostles of GMS, and honors to you brothers doing the work in truth, while sincerity. So just a quick one. I'm going to start with Acts 1 and 10 says, "And while they looked steadfastly towards heaven, as he went up, behold, two men stood by them in white apparel, which also said, Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven?" Right? I was just out my garden, doing exactly that, and made me think of the scripture, because, in this, we see the chariots here and there, we'll see them and be like, oh man, and, the longer you are in the truth, right, the more, just, oh no, it's a chariot, you just keep it moving, right, but it was just, like I said, I was, because, when people see us do that at the camp, you might have a flurry of chariots, they're like, oh, well, what are you seeing, this is something that, I was meditating on while I was out there, right, but, we can go into this, so this is basically, when a handful of the apostles were seeing Yahushua getting taken up into a cloud, right, into a chariot, right, and then, you had the two men stood by them in white apparel and said, yo, why stand you into gazing up into heaven? Right, this same Yahushua, which is taken up from you to heaven, shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven. Right, basically prophesying, and saying, look, man, basically saying what it is that the Lord, how it is that the Lord is gonna come back. Right, so hey, when Esau comes and comes with his trickery or whatever, what have you, right, because one of the projects that Esau has out there is, Project Blue Beam, that's one of the technologies he's said to have, right, he might, try to say, yo, like, look, this is the Lord, this is really the Lord, right, it says, Isaiah 33 and 6 says, "And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of Yahweh is his treasure." Right, so wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of our times. Right, so when Esau was pulling all of these, trickeries out there, trying to, like I said, I can't say for certain if Esau's got Project Bluebeam, but it is something that he's touted to have. People say he has this ability to project, images into the sky and make it look realistic, right? But this is why you gotta beware of this devil and not fall for any of his any of his trickery. In fact, let me look at see if the scripture's on point. If I can spell, I don't know how you spell that word. I'll forget. No, it says Matthew 24:24 says, "For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall do great signs and wonders, insomuch, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect." Right, which is why you got to be grounded, especially if you're a new man coming into the faith, you're coming into truth, right? You're supposed to just watch the apostles, and the men of renown, that the how I forgot the word in the apostles use, but basically men that are of good standing. That's the word. Men of good standing. Watch. Read the scriptures, right? The breakdowns. And basically not straying too far, this, that, and the other. Because if you ain't grounded, right, you have these things that will come across, and they'll move you out of the way, right? Which is one of the things you can't be doing when you come into this truth, is basically just reading into too many things. Instead, just stick to the scriptures, right? This is Ecclesiastes 12 and 12 says, "And further, by these, my son, be admonished of making many books. There is no end, and much study is weariness of the flesh, right?" And at the camp, you'll see mans that'll come up, and then you can tell in the way they speak, the things that they speak on, that they've just they read too many books. They read this book, they read that book, they went into this topic, right? But they never got grounded into anything. Scriptures talk about, in fact, let me get that. I've forgotten how it's phrased. This is Matthew 7:13. Enter ye in at the straight gate, right? Straight and narrow, obstacles standing close about, straight, narrow, straight. Right, just look into the base of that. And stand using various applications, abide, appoint, bring, to cause, abide. Yeah, man, but basically narrow gate, the straight gate's a narrow gate. You know, if you're in straits, if I'm not mistaken, it's like would you call it a difficulty, or a bad, difficult situation. You know, when you say I'm in straits, right? It says, for wide is the gate, right, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which go thereat, right? So basically, yeah, you got it says the wide is the gate. You know, you got all of these different philosophies that you can go into. Like, for instance, you get a lot of people who will who end up being Muslims because they can tell that Christianity is off, right? But then instead of coming and ending up at the scriptures, ending up at the true doctrine, right, they end up in Islam, right, and so on and so forth, right? So we go back here. It says the same Yahushua back in Acts 1:11 says, which also said, ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? The same Yahushua which is taken up from you into heaven shall come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven. Right, so the way the Lord left is the same way he's coming back. Yeah, so I said all of that, went into all of that to basically say, when you see Esau pulling out his technologies, if he ain't a so-called black man pursuant to Revelations 1, that ain't the Lord, right? If he's coming to say love everybody, that ain't the Lord, right? If he's coming to say if he ain't coming in a chariot of Israel, that ain't the Lord, right? Which is why it says knowledge and wisdom shall be the stability of that time. You be seeing things and other people be getting bugged out, right? Let's say Esau does use this Project Bluebeam to try and fake the coming of the Lord. The man of the Lord will be privy to that, black man, this damn devil, and keep it moving. Like I said, I can't say for sure whether he has it, but that is one of the things that people say that he has, right? And I wouldn't put it past him. The scriptures say that thou art wiser than Daniel. This is Wisdom 5. It says, then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted them and made no account of our labors. And that's what we do week in, week out. Right, through the power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. When we're at the camp, when we do these videos, right? It says verse 2 says, when they see it, right, the salvation, says they shall be troubled with terrible fear, and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation so far beyond all that they look for. Now they're gonna be the ones looking up and, oh man, yo, why them niggas getting beamed up? Hey, shit, hey, but hey, Hollywood said those are just green men and this, that, and the other, right? But hey, that's not what the scriptures say, right? It says they shall be troubled with terrible fear, man. Right, because hey, once the salvation is done, them chariots are going to be used for destruction. Right, pursuant to 2nd Ezra's the 13th chapter, Isaiah 66:15. Right, it says verse 3, it says, and they repenting and groaning for anguish of spirit shall say within themselves, this was he whom he had sometimes in derision and a proverb of reproach. Right, so they're gonna be the ones standing up, gazing, and being like, "Yo, shit, but these are just fucking niggas, man. These are fucking niggas, fucking spicks, whatever, what have you." Right, then it goes on to say, "We fools accounted his life madness, and his end to be without honor." Right, because you read what is it, 1 Corinthians 2, if I'm not mistaken. Is it 2 or is it 1? Might be 1. Right, it says 1 Corinthians 1:27 says, but the Most High hath chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. Right now we're the foolish, man. We're the base, right? no one, to be completely honest, rates the children of Israel, right? It says, but the Most High hath chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise, and the Most High hath chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things that are mighty, right? Because we go, you have your renowned scientists, your Brian Cox, your Stephen Hawking's, all of them guys before them, and we're straight up telling them you're wrong, right? And you're wrong because of X, Y, Z, right? It says, and the Most High hath chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things which are mighty, and the base things of the world, and the things which are despised. And tell me a nigga ain't despised, right? Tell me a spick ain't despised, right? Hath the Most High chosen, yea, and things which are not, to bring to naught things that are, right? So yeah, just going into the Lord's all about that, that controversy. He's all about a nice storyline. Be like, oh yeah, they thought these guys were just so many niggas, but really they were my chosen. Haha. Shows you the Lord has a sense of humor. Because look how these nations have dealt with Israel. Right, you see the peons of these nations, the fools of these nations, which is the majority, but I'm saying basically not the elite, right? The non-elite of these nations, they treat Jay like shit, but they're gonna have to pay for that. Right, so First Thessalonians 4:16 says, "For the Lord Himself shall descend from heaven with a shout," agreeing with what we read here in Acts 1:11, right? It says, for the Lord Himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of the Most High, and the dead in Mashiach shall rise first. Right, so all the men that die in the in the faith, they gonna rise up. They're gonna be alright. Right, it says, then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds, right, to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord, right? So basically, salvation is going to come through the chariots of Israel, right? We're going to be beamed up, and we're going to be alright, right? And the Lord's arm of the elect, Lord, you both watching of the elect, right? And if a puzzle going into it, and the whole thing of faith, right? Hey, if you don't think you can be if you don't think you're of the elect, what the hell are you doing, man? Alright, just was it study to make show that self? What was it? Calling an election sure. It's like my brain ain't really running right now. Right, hey, that's it. 2 Peter 1:10 says, "Wherefore the rather, brethren, give diligence to make your calling and election sure." Right, for if you do these things, you shall never fall. Right, so if you don't think you're the elect, you gotta give your diligence, man. You gotta do what it is you gotta do, right, so that you can, sincerely pray to the Lord that you are of the elect. Right, I'll just go through these last precepts. Right, it says Isaiah 26:20 says, "Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers, and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself, as it were, for a little moment, until the indignation be overpast." Right, and those chambers be the chariots, right? And in indignation, that's that the destruction, right? Sort of like how you might if you imagine you hear something's happening outside, so you lock yourself in the chambers, and you literally do that. You stay there until you don't hear anything bad happening outside, and then you be like, you maybe peek up, like, yo, everything's cool. When you read the scriptures, it even says that see, mingle fire, see, glass, mingle, yeah, we go. Right, this is Revelation 15:2 says, "And I saw as it were a sea of glass," right, "and them that had gotten the victory over the beast and over his image, and over his mark, and over the number of his name, stand on the sea of glass, having the harps of the Most High. Right, it's talking about in the firmament, right? So those that make it are going to be literally in chariots above the firmament, watching as the world gets destroyed, right? Up until the indignation be overpassed, right? And this is when Israel came out of Egypt last time, right? It says Exodus 13:21 says, and Yahweh went before them by day in the pillar of a cloud to lead them the way, and by night in the pillar of fire to give them light to go by day and night. So that's once again a chariot of Israel, right? This is Jeremiah 16:14. It says, therefore behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that it shall no more be said, Yahweh liveth, that brought up the children of Israel of the land of Egypt, but Yahweh liveth, that brought up the children of Israel of the land of the north. So if you had the chariots then in the in the deliverance from Egypt, right, ancient Egypt, the chariots makes sense that you have the chariots come once again on this time around, to be for the deliverance out of the out of the land of Egypt, the new land of Egypt, which is America, pursuant to Revelation 11 and 8, right? It says, and from all the lands whither he had driven them, and I'll bring them again into their land that I gave unto their fathers. Right, so this destruction is going to be worse than any, Joel, the 2nd chapter, I believe, and Daniel 12 speaks on the fact that the destruction to come is going to be like never before man was on earth. Daniel 12 and 1, right? That's going to be the worst destruction ever. So, hey, if you think the Lord is going to, hide these chariots? No, the chariots are going to come up, and the whole world is going to see it, right? In fact, I thought I had it lined up. Right, Revelation 1 and 7, it says, behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, right? Once again, agreeing with Acts 1 and 10, sorry, 1 and 11. It says, behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him, even so aman. Right, so Yahweh Shai is coming with them chariots, man, right? And with those chariots is coming salvation and destruction, which is why, all kindreds of the earth shall wail. If these things are, if the Lord's coming to bring daffodils, why is the world wailing? Right, but like I said, that was inspired from my stroll in the garden. So yeah, Lord's word I was there to find, and till the next time, say shalom.